Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video. I told you all that I wanted to start doing videos talking about certain subgenres in horror that I really like, and kind of compiling a list of my favorite books that have those categories involved in them. So up next is haunted houses. We did slashers. It's haunted house time because I love me a good haunted house. I love haunted houses. Oh my goodness, it's one of my favorite things in horror. I just love it. I actually read a lot of haunted house stories. Not as many as I thought though. When I was compiling this list, I was like, I thought I read way more haunted house stories than I did, but I guess I didn't, so I don't know. These are some of my absolute favorites that I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk too in depth because a lot of these you've heard me rave about so many times. So I'm really going to focus on why I particularly enjoy them more than what they're about, just because I feel like it'll be easier for me to just tell you why I like them. Another side note, yes, this is more about haunted houses. I may have snuck in a few books that aren't technically houses, but I'm including them because I don't care and it's my video and I can. So technically, this is like haunted houses slash haunted places, but mostly haunted houses. As always, these are just my favorites and what I enjoy. If we have similar reading tastes, you can kind of bounce off of this list. Maybe if you've read one, you could read another. Maybe you're looking for a haunted house story. I have a few that I think hit different kinds of haunted houses. Like, there's different levels. So hopefully there's something for everyone, and let's get started. Okay, first up, did you really think I could do a video on haunted houses without talking about the queen? The queen. I think we all know who I'm talking about. It's Darcy Coats. Yes, I have 5 here. Look, it was hard for me to narrow it down. I narrowed it down as much as I could. I could have included more. So just take that however you want to. Again, why I'm not going to talk too much about these ones is because I've literally talked about Darcy so much. You know I love Darcy. So this is just gonna be a little brief overview. I know a lot of you asked me where to start with Darcy, so maybe this can help you out. The first one I want to mention is The Haunting of Lee Harker. I absolutely love this. I think it's a very hit or miss Darcy. I've seen a lot of people not like this one, and it's very different from her other haunted house stories, but that's why I like this one. It starts off extremely fast, extremely creepy. You get thrown right in, and it's very fun. It's so fun. I absolutely loved the way this went. I love the ending. I love how it turned out. I love everything about it. It's a very hit or miss. Keep that in mind. This isn't a typical haunted house story, in my opinion, especially for Darcy. It's very different compared to her other stuff, but that's why I liked it and why I enjoyed it. The characters, absolutely phenomenal. I enjoyed every second of this book. I highly recommend this one. Next up for Darcy is The Haunting of Ashburn. This is probably one of like my favorite. Like if I had to really make a list, this one would probably be at the top. I think this is genuinely creepy. I think it has all the perfect makings of a haunted house story. It's a little bit cliche, but in the best ways possible, and Darcy makes it her own, which is absolutely amazing. And there's a cat in it, and I love the cat. The imagery is great in this story, and it sucked me in. I loved every second of it. Okay, next up is one that I haven't talked about in a while, but it was actually my first Darcy, and that is The Caro Haunt. One, I absolutely love the main character of this story. She's a tour guide for a haunted house, and I think that job is just so freaking cool. This is pretty typical with like a research group coming into a haunted house trying to catch, you know, ghost sightings, their seances, that kind of thing. I think this is a very typical kind of story, but I thought it was done really well. I loved all the characters, which Darcy always does to me. I love her characters. She has some of the best characters ever written, in my opinion. So I just think this one's a lot of fun. Also, I like the idea of being a tour guide, okay, for a haunted house. I think that sounds fun. It got me. Plus, there is a storm that comes and isolates them, which we all know I love an isolated setting. So this one I just think is a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people actually really enjoy this one. I know it's a lot of people's first kind of book into Darcy, this one or The Haunting of Ashburn, and I think they're both really good starting points. Next up is House of Shadows. This is the first book in a duo. The second one is House of Secrets. I absolutely loved this book. I don't think it's talked about enough. I think it's very underhyped for Darcy. I don't see a lot of people really bringing this one up, but I really like the plot in this one. I really like the family that's involved. I just like the story behind everything. There is kind of an insta-love aspect to this story, which I know a lot of people don't love. I'm not a huge fan of insta-love either, but I didn't overly mind it. It is a little, you know, so like, okay, but I still think the story and the way it ends up going is really good. I do like the second book as well. I just prefer this one more. The next and last Darcy, I know, I'm sorry, I'm almost done. I promise I'm almost done, okay? The next and last is Craven Manor. To me, this is also a very underhyped Darcy. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about this one. The main character, Daniel, is one of my absolute favorites. I think he is so sweet and so adorable, and I love him. I really like the setting in this one. I really like the setting of this haunted house. I think it's very interesting. I also really like the twists in this one. I think it has a really good twist. It could seem a little bit predictable to some people, but I didn't hate the predictability of it. It wasn't something that I was really mad at for any reason. I thought it was really good. I liked the twist. I like the way it ended up, because to me, with the twist that happened, I got the ending that I wanted. So I was happy about that. But overall, I really enjoyed this one. I think more people need to read Craven Manor. I think it's a really good under talked about book by Darcy. Okay, I'm done with Darcy. I promise that's the end. I promise I'm done. Okay, next is another book that I feel like none of you are going to be surprised by, and that is No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. This is a chunk. It's a chunky book. It's a chunker, okay? Don't let it deter you. Please don't, because I was very terrified to read this book because of how big it is. I don't like big books. Big books in the haunted house arena scare me because that typically means that they're gonna be a very slow burn horror, which is not always my favorite. But this is one of the few horror books that have actually scared the living crap out of me. I was genuinely scared while reading it. I could feel my heart racing. I was anxious. I was just a bundle of nerves, and that is very hard to do for me. I read a lot of horror. I'm not surprised or scared by a lot in the genre anymore. So to have this make me feel the way it did was a big surprise. This combines the haunted house aspect with human evil, which human evil is probably my favorite of all time because I find it the scariest. I think it's the most terrifying, it's the most realistic, and when it's realistic, that's what scares me. And that is why this was scary to me, is the human evil aspect is intense. It's a lot. I'm gonna be honest, it's not for everyone. This is a very intense book, and the human evil is very terrifying. To me, that added a level of horror that I needed. Throw in the haunted house aspect, and this is an intense book. It's a lot. There's so much going on. I do like the first half a little bit more than the second half, but this is one of my favorite books of all time. I think the combination of the two just works really well, and it made for a very scary book, which is what I always look for. Next up is a book that I recently read, but it has definitely made it into my favorites of all time. I can't even hesitate adding it to this list. That is The Good House by Tananarive Due. This is an incredible haunted house story. Talk about long books. This terrified me. I thought I was going to get into the worst slump while reading this because of how long and big it is. I mean, it doesn't look that big on camera, but the print is really tiny, okay? It's a long book, but this story is so engaging. There's something magical about Tananarive Due's writing. I love the characters. I love the story. I think this was genuinely freaky. The things that were happening were making me very nervous, especially the second half. I was not ready for what was going to happen. The ending by far is one of my absolute favorite endings. Hands down, I can say that confidently and with no hesitation, that this ending is something that I absolutely love. It's not going to be for everyone, because I know some of you have told me that you don't like this ending because of the way it goes. Me personally, this ending is my ideal ending, okay? Because this book is sad. It is a sad, sad book. It talks about a lot of heavy things. It talks about a lot of depressing things, and it is sad. The whole vibe of this book is melancholy and dark the whole time. And that ending was the ray of light that I needed, okay? So I will take it, and I don't care that it was what it was, because I'm happy about it. So, this phenomenal. I highly, 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 highly recommend checking out this book. If you've had it on your TBR, please read it. It's amazing. Next up, we have Within These Walls by Anya Alborn. This was one of my very first Anya Alborn books. I read this so long ago, but it has stuck in my head because not only is it a haunted house story, it is also a cult story. And I love cults in my horror books, and I love haunted houses. And when you put the two together, hello, that's an amazing duo. I found this story so captivating. I could not put it down. I'm a big fan of Anya Alborn's writing in general. I've pretty much loved every book by her. There's only a few that I've not absolutely adored, but this one is probably in my top 3 or 4. That's hard, but I think it's in my top 3 or 4. I love the cult aspect. I love the past and present chapters. I like the way they mesh together, and then at the end it all just comes full circle. I love the story. I think it's a great story. And I think if you enjoy haunted houses and cults both in your horror books, I think this is a really good book to check out, because it has both. Best of both worlds. You get them both in here. And I just think it's a really solid haunted house story. Also, this book plays with the trope that I absolutely think is it's funny but not funny. It's that whole true crime writer moves in to the house where a true crime event took place to write a book, you know? Very sinister. So to me, I really like that trope. I think it's very interesting, and every time it happens I kind of want to shake the character, because it's kind of like, you know, this isn't gonna end well, but you know, they do it anyways. So I do like that about this book. as well. That's a fun little trope it has. The next book I don't own a physical copy of, unfortunately. I know I need to change that, but I will be inserting the cover here, and that is When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. This book made it into my 2021 favorites. It is a phenomenal book. This is one of the ones that I'm kind of cheating with, but this is an amazing ghost story or haunted space story. This is very much a gothic, subdued type of horror, which typically doesn't work for me. I'm very particular about my gothic, slow, subdued, quiet horror. I like my horror to be more in my face. So this book it says a lot that I'm including this in my favorites when it is so quiet horror, you know, because that means it made a very big impression on me, and it does. I love the social commentary on this book. I think the writing is absolutely stunning. I think the story is so wonderful. I was captivated beginning to end. There's so much going on. There's so much story to unpack. There's so much to read about, and I love that. I love when a story has so much to tell me, and that's one of these. That's what this is. It just has so much to say, and it kept my attention the whole time. I wasn't bored. I wasn't disinterested. I wasn't, you know, like, this is too much. No, I was like, keep giving it to me. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm here. You know, I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's go. I think this is an absolutely amazing story. I love this. Also, I will say the one gripe I have with it. I think the ending is a little too quiet for my liking. It was just a little boop, the end. I wanted a little bit more punch because the whole story, even though it's quiet, it's so punchy. So I really wanted the ending to kind of punch me in the face. And this one was more of like a end, which some people might absolutely love. So that's why I'm also including it for that reason. But also, this is just a phenomenal haunted place story. I highly recommend this. I talk about this one a lot though, so I feel like no one's that surprised. So next up is one I'm so freaking excited to talk about. Okay. Oh, I'm excited to talk about this one. My love for this book is intense, and that is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. I know a lot of people don't like this book. This was phenomenal in my opinion. This was an amazing haunted house story. I think it had everything I'm looking for. This story is so well done, and it's a YA horror, which I have another YA in this list, but this one, for me, I didn't care that it was YA. I think the points that it was trying to make came across very well. I think the story that it was telling came across perfectly. I mean, okay, this is a very creepy haunted house story. The things that were happening, I was like, wow, this is way creepier than I expected a YA haunted house story to be. Two, I really love the commentary that it was making about racism and weed, which I know a lot of people had issues with because it talks about weed a lot. For me, I felt like it was making a statement, and I think that statement was conveyed very, very well. I think it came across exactly how it was intended to come across, at least for me. I know a lot of people also had an issue with the ending because it's kind of abrupt. There's not a lot said, but in my opinion, the vagueness and the unsaid parts were very loud, but that's just my opinion. So I completely understand why people don't love this story, but for me, Tiffany D. Jackson can do no wrong. This book, phenomenal. One of my all-time new favorite books forever and ever. I could rant about how much I love this book. I think it's creepy. I love the twists. I love the commentary made. I just think it was a very, very, very well done haunted house horror book. Just not even including that it's YA, because I think it could stand on its own without even the YA title just being there. I think it was that good. It doesn't even need to be talked about that it's YA. It was just a phenomenal haunted house horror novel. Okay, since we just talked about a YA, let's talk about another YA. I know a lot of people don't like this book either, but I'm including it because this is my list, and that is Horrid by Katrina Leno. So this is a haunted house story. Obviously, they're all haunted house stories. This one I really, really enjoy for the atmosphere. I think the atmosphere and just the overall vibe or reading experience is absolutely lovely. I think the writing is gorgeous. The main character is a reader. The main character ends up working at a bookstore, which, I'm sorry, that's just kind of my dream. And then the main character is living in a haunted house with their mom. And to me, like, that's kind of like my dream. I'm just saying, like, this girl's living my life. Like, I kind of want her life. I mean, I don't know if I really want to live in a haunted house, but, like, she's kind of living my dream anyways. There is a plot twist in this book that I find a little infuriating. But if I look past it, I still think this is a pretty well done haunted house YA horror story. I don't think this is as good as White Smoke in my opinion. I prefer White Smoke, but I do enjoy the environment and the reading experience and the atmosphere and the writing style of this one a lot. The annoying plot twist didn't bother me that much. I could look past it. It was mildly infuriating, but I still enjoyed everything about this book. For the most part, I just think it's really fun. I think it's interesting, and I think it's a good intro into haunted houses. I think if you maybe don't know where to begin, a YA might be the perfect place for you, because it's not going to, it's not going to be extremely scary because it is a YA. So I think this is a really good haunted house story. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's nothing absolutely groundbreaking, but I still enjoyed it. Next up, and second to last, so we're almost done. You've almost made it to the end, I know. This is also a new addition to my list. So I am cheating just a little bit, just like a little bit. It's also not technically a haunted house. It's a haunted motel, if you're catching my drift. It's a Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. Yeah, I know. Again, this is a book that not everyone is going to like. I think if you enjoy dual timelines, you enjoy the main character trying to solve a mystery, and then an addition of hauntings or ghosts involved, I think this could really be something you'd enjoy. I know this surprised the absolute crap out of me. I did not think I was gonna like this book as much as I did. I've heard so many people hate this book. And to be fair, I've seen a lot of people say that it's not a creepy motel, but it actually is in my opinion. I thought this was a creepy motel story. So again, just personal preference, but I enjoyed the mystery of both timelines, because there is two mysteries kind of at hand. They are connected. I like when characters have to solve mysteries. I think that's a lot of fun. I think some people might be disappointed with the ghost aspect because it's not as heavy as the mystery. But to me, I didn't think that was a big deal. I really liked how they both played a part in the story, and I thought they were both interesting, and I did think that the ghosts were creepy, and I did think that the things that were happening in the story were creepy. So overall, I think this is a really good, enjoyable book, and I personally really enjoyed it. I don't think it's for everyone because I've seen a lot of people not like it, but I personally had a lot of fun with this and I think it's really, really good. Next and the last on my haunted house list is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a phenomenal book. This is amazing. This is without a doubt one of my absolute favorite Gothic horror novels by far. It actually kept me captivated and engaged the entire time, which is something that doesn't typically happen with a Gothic haunted house story for me. I find them to be too slow and boring and I don't end up caring halfway through, but this, I was hooked, okay? I was hooked from beginning to end. Noemi, the main character, I love her. I absolutely adore Noemi. I think she's a wonderful main character. She made me laugh. I was worried for her. I was like scared for her safety. I really enjoyed the family. They're very interesting. I will say I enjoyed some of them more than others, but I did enjoy the part that they played into the story. I found all of the characters very fascinating and I was constantly looking at who I found suspicious because they're all very suspicious in my opinion. And I was just rooting for Noemi. I just wanted Noemi to make it out. I was worried for her. I was hoping that everything was going to work out for her. I loved Noemi. And she really made this book for me. She's a very vibrant, like vivacious character. She's very lifelike and she kind of just pops off the pages, which is, I don't know, I just really enjoyed reading from Noemi's point of view. I just really liked her. I liked having her as the main character. I think the setting for this is absolutely amazing. I think the story's amazing. I think the plot twist is crazy. I did not see it coming and it blew my mind. Yeah, this is just an amazing haunted house story. I absolutely adore everything about this book. And, yeah, I'll forever think about this book. I will forever think about the ending. I will always think about this book and I will always remember how much I love Noemi because I can't get this book out of my head. It's amazing. Alright my friends, those are my favorite haunted houses slash haunted places books. I feel like this list could change. I feel like I could add or substitute some books out, you know, like at certain points. So I feel like, you know, this list could change or be altered. There are some that I will absolutely never take off this list though. I think you know which ones by how highly I talked about them. But I do think this list could be expanded upon later. But these are just the ones that I absolutely adore and think that, I don't know, I think that other people either love as well or could love if they haven't tried them. I wanted to give you a good range of stories and hopefully have something for everyone, touch on different authors, different kind of stories, different kinds of, you know, I just wanted to give you a mix. So hopefully if you haven't read all these, I feel like a lot of these are super popular, so I feel like they are very well known, but maybe if you haven't read any of these, then you can pick them up and give them a try. I don't know. Or maybe you just wanted to know which ones are my favorites and that's all. That's the reason you're watching this. That's the whole reason. And if so, thank you for wanting to know what my favorite haunted house stories are. If you enjoyed this video and you want more of these favorite slash kind of recommendation list type videos for different subgenres of horror, please let me know in the comments down below and give this video a thumbs up so that way I know that you want to keep seeing things like this. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We can become friends. Talk about books, movies, manga, haunted houses, ghosts, all those fun things that I enjoy and love. And I hope you are having a wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.